My all-time best rescue to this day at Poor Boy's Garage. Two 1970 Dodge Chargers, a 1970 Dodge Challenger, a 1971 Dodge Challenger, a 1970 or 71 Plymouth Cuda, a 1969 Plymouth Roadrunner, a 1969 Plymouth Satellite, a 1968 Plymouth Belvedere, and for a bonus, 392 Hemi sitting on a crate. And this is all out of one guy's backyard. Good thing I was doing videos back then, because if you didn't video it, it never happened. No turning back now. So here we go. I see a lot of the heavy hitters on YouTube are doing story time these days. And I was like, man, if anybody's got stories to tell, it's this guy with all the cars we've had through the shop. But honestly, even though it had a lot of cars, a lot of them don't really have stories to tell, except for a few. But a lot of them, you know, you just find them, whatever, buy them, and you're done. Have a nice day, and really, you know, a little bit of history on them, but nothing that really sticks out. But I'll tell you what, there's a picture I have, and if you guys follow me on my Facebook group page, because I have two Facebook pages. I got the Facebook, I mean, obviously my page, but then I have, for my car stuff, I have the Facebook group page, which I do a lot of the posting on that. And then I have my Poor Boys Garage page as well, which I try to be good about that one, but I post a lot of my stuff on my group. And there's a picture that you could find me on with this old man. And there's two cars behind it. There's a, you see a 69 Roadrunner that's smashed in the front. And then you see I think to the left there is a 1971 Dodge Challenger, orange. And today I'm going to tell you the story on those. And not only were they those two cars that you see in that picture, there were 6 cars we got out of there that day. Well, it wasn't that day. It took us about a week. You know, hunting, rescuing, and fixing, selling, whatever it took, just because I love doing it so much. Just old cars, of course. And we went up to a buddy of mine, called me and said, do you want to go to a auction up in, I don't know, a little north of here, which is probably, I don't know, an hour and a half drive or whatever. And I was like, yeah, no problem. Let's go out there and check it out. So I called the auction place, not thinking that you could go to an auction before the auction even starts and look around. And I called the guy, and he's like, no, it's this one woman's, her dad passed away, and you could just go up there and look, and she'll sell anything before the auction. So we went up there, and of course I'm looking for all the Mopar. There was a couple. I ended up yanking like a 69 Charger, completely roasted, had like a 70 front clip on it or something like that. It was rough, and that was like the only one I found. But hey, you know, it's a Charger, complete basket case. So anyway, went through that. My buddy says, hey Brad, do you want to take some back roads home, because he lived right around where I'm living? I'm like, yeah, might as well. Well, at this time, you know, I'm getting tired. I walked through that auction with all the cars. I mean, that was a good 500 cars out there. You know, that takes all your time, and you're about done after that. So we took a back road home, and we're cruising, just looking, you know, like usual. And I see a 67 Dodge Charger in this gentleman's driveway. 67, guys, you know, those are tough cars. You either love them or hate them because they're that fastback style. Well, in front of that, so first impression, I was like, I've had a couple of those, man. Those things are hard to punt out the back end, you know, when you buy them up, because it only takes special people that want those cars. So, but in front of it was a 68 Roadrunner, right? So we passed the house, and he goes, "You want to stop?" And I'm like, not really. But I was like, all right, let's turn around. So I turn around, I go up in the driveway. These two brothers live there, like junker brothers, you know, like salvage guys, the best guys that have stuff, you know. So anyway, they look like they were in straight the zone, man, like cleaning up their front yard, and really didn't want to be bothered. You can tell that, you know, when you go up to somebody and they're almost trying to push you out because they don't want to be bothered. And I was like, okay. I said, hey, is your, you know, I was trying to be respectful. I'm not trying to disrespect anybody or anything. So if he wanted me to leave, I would have rolled. But he didn't ask me to leave. I just got that vibe. I said, hey, is your 68? What did I say? Well, I thought it was a Coronet. He's like, oh, you mean the Roadrunner? I said, oh, Roadrunner, that's even better. And he goes, yeah, $12,000. And this thing was like, ugh, 12 grand, okay. So he's in the I don't want to sell it mode. Fine, understand. I said, what's going on with your, just to, you know, make conversation, what's going on with your Charger back there? He goes, oh, I sold it to a couple of young kids the other day. I just got to clean up everything in the yard to get it out. Keep in mind, if you could think about like that show Hoarders, the whole yard was slammed. So my buddy was, as we were all talking, he was kind of walking on the side of their garage, just kind of looking around at all their junk they had out there. And all of a sudden I hear him yell my name. He's like, Brad. And I'm like, you know that sound of like something's going down, or you found something crazy? It was just that kind of sound when he said my name. I was like, uh-oh, what's going on back here? So I walk over to him, and you can just kind of peek around these gentlemen's dilapidated garage, like a little 2-car garage. And I look, and I'm like, holy crap, Mopar. Freaking Mopar. Literally, like a satellite, a 69 satellite. Next to that, then you had like this Toyota or something. Then next to that, a 68 Belvedere. You know, just stuff like that. And in the back, oh, then behind that was that red Roadrunner, the 69. So I said, hey, I don't want to use their names, but I was like, let's call them, hey, Pete or something. I said, hey, Pete, do you mind if I roll around and look at what you got back there? He goes, yeah, go ahead, hesitantly. I walk around. Not only did he have those cars that you could just see behind the fence, behind that was that 71 Challenger. 70 or 7, it was a 70 Hemi orange Challenger, right? And like, I couldn't even, my heart's pounding, you know? And you can't even talk because you're just so blown away by what they had stashed out there. And those cars were out there for like 20 years. So I'm like, oh man. Then I looked at the Roadrunner. I opened up the one that was smashed in the front, the 69. I opened up the door. Big old hog leg, 4-speed. I'm like, holy crap. I'm like, get out of here. Because you guys know, you Mopar guys especially, it's hard to find cars like that. So once again, you know, now we're back there, we're digging, you know, now. My buddy goes, Brad, you're not going to believe what they have over here. And literally, this car is pushed in the weeds, you know, like the trees are growing up through it. I mean, you almost have to do some kind of crazy reconnaissance through the woods like this and realize there's another car back there. So I look, what is it? A freaking Cuda, 70 Cuda, you know? And this is my buddy's dream car, keep in mind. That's all he ever tells me back in, you know, before we found this place was, if you ever find a 70 Cuda, Brad, or a 71, let me know. It's my dream car, yada, yada. So he was like, he was floored. He couldn't even talk. So I'm just kind of looking, talking, taking it all in the best I can because I'm blown away at this point for somebody to have all these cars stashed that you could never see off the road. Man, I don't know, I'm speechless, you know? So I look and I'm just kind of taking it in, like I said, and I look behind some more woods. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. 70 Charger back there. I'm like, what is going on here? Anyway, I'm getting geeked up just telling you guys about this story because that's how hyped up I was when this happened. This is one of my all-time craziest pulls ever. Got to get my nice shake this morning. Anyway, we're taking, not to turn the story around, but taking Jaden's truck. It's lowered in the front. It hits real hard on the front end. So we put new shocks and bump stops under it yesterday. So I'm just kind of taking it for a cruise while he's at school. Don't tell him. Anyway, back to it. I don't even want to hear about this one anyway. So 70 Charger back there, black. And he comes around, Pete, let's say his name's Pete. He comes around and he's like, I got another Charger way in the back. And I'm like, well, let's see that. Sure enough, man, he takes us another like 50 yards back. There's an old dilapidated trailer back there, like single wide trailer. Behind that, another 70 Charger. Well, this ain't just your average 70 Charger, I was thinking at the time. It had but you could see the remnants of it on the car where it was. And the nose cone. It had a nose cone on it, but it was gone. And I started like thinking, I'm like, holy crap, we just found a Daytona. Well, as I started peeling the onion back, it ended up being a fake Tona, is what we called it. It was a Charger, it was a 70, but it was just an average Joe Charger. I mean, a Charger's a Charger, but this is just a small block 318 Charger that somebody cloned into a Daytona probably back in the 80s. Well, it turns out this Pete's been a Mopar guy since he was a teeny bopper, and he'd do the same thing we do and you guys do, drive around back in the 80s when you couldn't give these cars away, and he'd go around and buy this crap up and hoard it. Well, being junkers and all, junker brothers, neighbors didn't like it too much. So what did they end up doing? They started calling the city on them. The city came out, gave them an ultimatum. You either start cleaning up this yard or we're going to start fining you $1,000 a day. So they bent them over the barrel. We just, right place, right time. They needed to get crap out of the yard. I was there, and we started making deals on getting that crap out of there. So the first car we got was that roached 69 Roadrunner, the red one, 4-speed, 383 car. Flooded. You know, this is right after we had that Hurricane Florence out here in North Carolina. It devastated us. Well, it devastated him too. A lot of the cars got flooded. Put about 3 foot of water in the backyard, in his backyard. So anyway, he said, Brad, if you want to, let's start. I said, I want to make a deal on all of them. He goes, well, I'm not really ready to get rid of all of them yet. And I was like, I totally understand. But he goes, let's get this Roadrunner out of here first and we'll go from there. So we left and I said, hey, I'll be back this weekend or whatever. we went there that weekend full force. And I told my buddy that was riding with me, the one that went to the back, kind of snooping around and seen the CUDA and all that. He had a big tractor. Well, it wasn't big, it was a little tractor, but enough to yank cars. And I said, Kevin, if you give us the tractor or come out and help us yank all these cars, I'll give you that CUDA. Because I want to say I did make a deal on that one as well. Or he was ready to get rid of it. This CUDA was rough, guys. It was literally, the whole back end was zipped out of it. He was a straight 318 column shift car, straight parts car. But, you know, for a guy like Kevin, a guy like me, you know, we love that kind of stuff, right? We're going to save it, and eventually, you know, through our dreams, we're going to throw 100,000 at it and make it something, you know. But anyway, he was like, no way you would. I said, yeah, man, I'll give you that car. So that was the deal. So needless to say, it rained like the whole next 3 days. And we went in there full force. We had the tractor. I had my van. I was driving a Dodge van with my trailer, winched, chains. So the first thing we do is we grab the Roadrunner, right? And it's far enough away. It's probably like an hour away, where we can only do about one car, get them staged, and pull one home. We were doing one every day, so we wouldn't get completely burnt out. We yank up the Roadrunner. That Roadrunner, he got it out of a junkyard, and it was wrecked so hard that the Haggerty or the insurance company put a sticker in the A-frame and said, cannot operate anymore. Like, basically, nobody could ever fix this thing. I mean, the frame was bent in it. You push the car down on that rear quarter, and the front end would lift up when it was on the trailer. Straight parts car at this point. So we get that one home. It went up the trailer fine. Cool car. It was a bad boy in its prime, you know, 383, 4-speed, you know, I mean, 69 Roadrunner, real deal RM VIN code. I mean, what more could you want right there? So the next day we go there, and I think we made a deal on probably like 2 cars at this time. So he had a 71 Challenger there, a green one. That was the next one we pull out. It was there so long, the trees started growing up into the side of it. And my buddy, we're cutting trees down to get this thing out. And my buddy starts yanking it out with the tractor. That's the next one that gets up on the trailer. And it was just a regular 71 Challenger. I think it was a 318 car as well. Cool bowling ball paint on it. So we get that one. And then, of course, the CUDA's next, and my buddy's happier than pigging, you know what, getting that car, and he brought his trailer, and we loaded it up. So now we're getting to the point where we made a deal on 3 cars. Well, keep in mind, we still got a 69 or a 68 Satellite, a good car, sitting in the woods. We still got a 68 Belvedere, you know. It's one of them ones you just don't leave no car behind, so we wanted to grab that, even though it wasn't great. I think it had a 383, but it was a 2-barrel car. Whatever. If we get that one, that's going to be like the last pull, you know, or whatever we need to do to get it out of the way to get the next ones. But we had a 70 Charger in the woods there, black, that we have made a deal on, and he wasn't really ready to get rid of that one. We had the 70 Challenger. All right, Hemi orange JES VIN code, which was a 383 4-speed car, but it was a roller now, no motor, no trans. Not to mention we still had the fake Tona back there. So we're starting to, like, me and my buddies are ready to, like, we want to make deals. We're not leaving without these cars, you know. We're gonna pay. We're gonna get them out of here and get them rescued. So we're getting to the point where it's almost time for Challenger time. I told my buddy, I'm like, hey man, go over there and talk to Pete, see if he's gonna get rid of this Challenger, because he needs to get all this junk out of here. He's gonna start getting raped over the coals by the city. My buddy comes around, he goes, here's the deal with the Challenger. He comes back to the backyard, you know, where we got all of our stuff and tractor and all that. Keep in mind, it's muddy now. So it's been raining for 3 days. But, you know, you get so scared that people are going to change their mind. You just show up every day, you know. So he comes back around and he's like, Brad, here's the deal. He said he'll sell the Challenger, but he wants the rear end out of it. I'm like, what? Why the frick does he want the rear end out of it? He goes, because it's a Dana rear end. I'm like, oh my gosh. So he wants me to yank the rear end out of the Dana, or wants me to take the Dana out of it? Granted, you guys know what a Dana is. That's like the baddest Mopar rear end out back in the days, you know? So sure enough, I'm like, well, what can I do? I'm bent over the barrel with that. I mean, I gotta have the car, so made a deal, grabbed the car, took it home. A couple days later, I put it in the shop. My cousin and I just start pulling the Dana rear end out of it so we could give it back to him. So that's how we got that car. You know, this is like 3 days into this, 3 or 4 days. We're like good buddies now with these guys. You know, we're there every day, showing up 8 o'clock in the morning, making sure, you know, we're on time and ain't showing them that, hey, we're here to play. We're not here to play games. We're here to get these cars rescued and start giving you cash, you know. So after that, you see that old man in the picture. Keep in mind, he was the neighbor. He was like an old farmer neighbor, you know, and he'd always come over and BS with us and watch us. And he was one of them guys that wanted to see more crap out of those guys' yards because, you know, it's making his house look like junk. So he's always there, you know, like I said, he's just talking to us, basically just watching, old timer, you know, just kind of hasn't seen that kind of that kind of thrill in his neighborhood in a long time, and just really just having fun with the whole thing. So he pulls me off to the side. He's like, Brad, you know, he's got a couple cars in the garage too. And I'm like, the dilapidated 2-car garage that looks like it's about to fall in? He goes, yeah, he's got a couple cars in there too. Man, I'm getting chills telling you guys about this. So we go over to him, my buddy and I, and we're like, hey, Pete, heard you got some cars in the garage. He gets pissed. He starts like, yeah, I've been yelled at before, you know, obviously being in the Marine Corps. It was a civilian style yelling at me, you know, like disappointed, like your parents are, you know, back when you got in trouble when you were young. He goes, nah, you guys aren't going in that garage. Don't even ask me about what's in that garage. Nobody's looking in that garage. Keep in mind, we've been here busting our you-know-whats for 4 days now, 3-4 days. Kind of developed a little bit of a relationship. He knows we're car guys. He's an old-time car guy. We go, Pete, what's in the garage? We're like messing with him now. Like, come on, you know, we've been out here. You know we're car guys. What's in the garage? He goes, all right, we got him to budge. He pulls open. It's like one of them old school ones that, you know, it don't roll up. It pulls up like an old style, like the whole thing lifts up, you know, back in the days. He lifts it up, and I see nothing but just boxes stacked, you know, hoarder junk everywhere. But you could see a grill, right? In between the boxes. Lime green, right? Lime green car. I'm like, right off the bat, I knew what it was because it's another CUDA. It's a 70. Didn't know if it was 70, 71, whatever. I wasn't that good at that time. I just knew it was a CUDA because you could see that the teeth, you know. Of going and looking at it, and he was right behind us, and he goes, go ahead and look at the car. Well, my buddy kind of shoves the boxes off to the side, and he's like, and he goes, what is that? What's that on the hood? He goes, that's that's a shaker. Keep in mind, it's that one piece. And Pete goes, go ahead and take that off and look down in the hole. He looks down in the hole, And keep in mind, I'm like the little dog, you know, hey Spike, what's going on, Spike? You know, back in Looney Tunes days, Tom and Jerry. I'm that dog because I can't get into the garage. There's so much crap. I'm just over his shoulder. He looks down into the hole, the shaker hood hole, and there's 2 4-barrels on it. Right there, man. I knew it was game over. I'll never find another one of these again. Turns out it was a 426 Hemi car. But the story goes, it wasn't a real Hemi car. It was an original, I want to say a 318 car. Small block car. But back in the days, in the 80s, he built the Hemi and slammed it in there. So it still doesn't matter. I mean, that's still a Hemi Cuda, you know? The real deal in that sense. Man, I was so blown away by finding that we could, obviously I wasn't going to take no pictures or nothing because I didn't want to, you could tell he was not wanting us to even see that crap. So I was, to this day, I wished I would have took a picture and just said, screw it, take my butt chewing about it, but it didn't work that way. So I only got the story. All right, so my battery ran out. But anyway, that's pretty much the story on the only Hemi car I have ever found to this day. And that was probably the highlight of my car rescuing career, although, you know, I didn't get that one. It's still one of my favorite. To even find one, even see one, just blows my mind. So anyway, after we, you know, he shuts the garage door in our face and basically tells us don't ever tell anybody in your entire life where this car is. You're like, all right, whatever. I'm not going to tell people where it is, but I'm going to tell the story. You know that. But anyway, he had a crate. He had a Hemi motor on a crate. He goes, I'll sell this if you guys want this. And we were like, oh crap, what is that? Is that a 426? He's like, nah, it's not a 426. It came out of an old Imperial. We were like, load it up. Take it up. Take it with us. We ended up getting that Hemi. That was our first Hemi, real Hemi engine that I've ever had in the shop. I think it was a 392, I want to say. It was the big Hemi, but I mean, obviously it wasn't the, you know, the 426, but still cool as crap. So anyway, we ended up getting that. Now we got the Challenger, you know, keep in mind, we still got a few cars left. And the next one on the radar was that 70 Charger. And we're getting close to the end now, you know, probably on day 4 by this time. And I'm like, what's he gonna do? Is he gonna sell it? Is he just gonna let it rot back here? Sure enough, he hit us up and said, go ahead and just grab that one too. Last car left, the fake Tona. Is he gonna sell it? Well, about the end of the day, and I think by now we're on about day 5, he goes, yeah, you guys can go ahead and get that last Charger back there. Muddy as all can be, but I wasn't leaving it behind. There's no way. And I was so scared if we didn't get it right then and there that, you know how people are. Sometimes they get sentimental and they're like, I don't really want to sell it. Game over, you know. Go home with your tail between your legs and cry. But he didn't. He let us get back there, and we ended up yanking that 70 318 Charger as well. Probably the best car out of all of them. Well, when this was going on, I was doing videos and stuff, but I wasn't doing YouTube yet. We were just doing like Facebook. This is when Jaden used to tell me, hey, do YouTube videos. And I'm like, man, I don't want to do all that editing, you know. It takes a while to start getting good at YouTube. I didn't know nothing about, you know, how to do subscribers, all that crap. I didn't know nothing. I was just doing my Facebook thing, and I was enjoying that. And by this time, I had like 3,000 followers on the car game, playing, you know, doing the car game. So, but keep in mind, I was doing videos back then, But my videos, you know, we're doing it on a phone. We're out in the middle of nowhere, so the signal sucks. So you get like a lot of blurred out. You'll see when I start putting some of them up. So anyway, we ended up getting the fake Tona. Ended up going to, that was the best Charger I think to this day that I had. The one that like had the most potential. All the Chargers we've had through Poor Boys, absolute basket cases. I mean, frame rails hanging out of them. Don't get me wrong, I'll cut some trees down and yank one out. I don't, because that's how, you know, you guys all know the 68 through 70, like I said, people are giving up their newborn children to have one of them roasted, in roasted condition. So I knew to not ever leave a Charger behind, no matter how bad it is. And believe me, I pulled out some crap Chargers. But that fake Tona was about the best car that I had to this day as far as a 68 through the 70. It ended up going, I had some young car enthusiasts come down to the shop. I didn't even have it for sale. It was under, I had it, we cleaned it up, but I had it under just a car cover. And they came down to look at that Charger. If you remember in the beginning of my story, I said I pulled the Charger out of that place that was having the auction, complete roasted. Well, they came down from Maryland to look at that car. They seen that fake Tona, and they were good dudes, man. You could just tell they had the heart, you know, they wanted to make it happen with that car. And I'm like, you know, I don't mind selling them and making a few bucks here and there, but I like seeing them go to good homes so they're not sitting behind people's houses like where I got all these cars, just rotting away and never gonna have anybody do anything with them, you know? So I could just see it in their eyes, man. They had dreams on that one. So I said, look, give me this for it, and I'll throw in the crap Charger that I just got out of the woods from the auction place that was garbage. And I said, you could just make something out of nothing here. And sure enough, they did good things. They follow me on the group page, and they've been telling me how they fixed that fake Tona, and they actually got it running and driving, and I think they drive it around a lot, which is, man, I love that, man, because we busted our asses getting them cars out of there, believe me, this. So, the Belvedere ended up using as a parts car because it was just roasted. It went to a buddy of mine here in the area, and he used it to fix his 68, so that went to a good home. Unfortunately, it had to go, you know, it had to get sacrificed to save one, you know. So it sacrificed itself to save a good car, which is fine, I get it. The 69 Satellite, which was a good car, it was in the woods, but it was a good car, had a big block in it, 383. That went to an Army buddy of mine who was doing ground up restorations. I'm talking like he cut the quarters out of it. I mean, he went deep into that one. So that one got saved. The 71 Challenger, the green one, that was a cool save. That was an Air Force friend of mine who came over and grabbed that one. And the car was roasted, but he took the whole shell and put it on like a stock car frame that's all like caged out and stuff. I'm gonna see if I can find pictures for you guys on that one. That was the coolest build ever, and he updates me on that. He's motivated. Young guy, young Mopar guy, but he got deep, and he made that thing so sick. Just ones you don't see. It almost looks like a drift car style, you know, something like that. The Challenger I was gonna keep for myself, and I ended up, I didn't have a lot of money back then to like just throw like 20 grand into a car. That one ended up going to Mexico. I think I put it on eBay. And the truck driver came up, Spanish dude, and he's like, Brad, I'm sure you made a little bit of money off this car, but the guy in Mexico that bought this is gonna make like 30 grand off this car. And I was like, well, good for him. That's all I can say now, you know. Ain't no turning back on that. It is what it is. And what was the last car? Oh, the Charger. The 70 Charger went to my buddy who's in the Army. And he ended up, he's young in the Army, but he's kept that car. So he still got it. And this was like 3 years ago, man. Almost 3-4 years ago, maybe. And he's slowly putting that one back together. So that was probably a decent Charger that was not as good as the fake Tona, but to build from ground up, you know, it had a decent foundation to it. What else? The Cuda that I gave to my buddy Kevin, still at his house, probably sitting behind the backyard. And keep in mind, another thing I wanted to tell you was, when I said we found that fake Tona back there behind the trailer was full of nothing but Mopar parts. But the trailer was falling down on itself. We asked Pete when we were pulling these cars, I said, and we were all looking through the windows of the trailer, believe me, because it was way back in the woods. And we seen like snorkel air cleaners in there, gas pumps, just everything stacked on it. And the trailer was just falling down, and it was getting close to. We asked them, we said, hey, want to sell some of the parts out of there? You might as well now. I mean, you're getting rid of a bunch of your stuff. You don't have a choice. At this matter, you got to get rid of crap. And he's like, no, I'm not ready to sell the parts, but I'll call you. Well, I keep in touch with him and stuff like that, and every once in a while, he's still got, you know, his 68 Roadrunner and stuff like that, and every once in a while, I'll find Roadrunner parts or something, and I'll ask him, I say, hey, do you need anything for Roadrunners or whatever? And I could use, he had like a Charger door that I left out there, he didn't want to sell. And I said, I'll trade you some leaf springs for that Charger door. I just wanted to like do a hang up thing or something. I don't even know at the time why I needed it. He's like, yeah, that's fine. So I went out there and I talked to his brother. He wasn't home, and his brother's like, yeah, there's the door. Just grab it. Just leave the leaf springs here. And I said, what's going on with all the parts out there? Is he ready to sell them yet? The trailer fell in on all the parts. I was like, mother fricker, man. I knew that was going to happen. And this time, I seen Pete probably, I don't know, another time while after this, and I almost started chewing his ass. You know, he was trying to get mad at me for some stuff. And I was like, look, we told you that trailer was going to fall in. Now everything's falling in, and now the water's getting everything. And he just shook his head. He didn't really have nothing to say. He knew I was right. But that was probably one of the top rescues to this day. And it's just, you'll never find, it's so hard to find them like that, where guys just hoard like 5, 6, 10 cars in one place. Those are few and far between, and they're all Mopar too. I mean, he had a lot of other cars there, but a lot of like newer cars just junking, like rotting away, junkers. But as far as like all the hot rods, they were all Mopar, man, which really blew my mind. And it was just luck of the draw, man. Let's go down this street. Let's just go home. And I finally just stopped. It was meant to be. Basically, it was meant to be there. That's why I always say, if cars are meant to be found, they'll be found. Because I get, pulled in these directions to find a lot of these cars. And at the time, maybe, the people needed some money. Maybe they're low on funds. Something pushed them. The stars aligned and something got me over there to find this car. So, I mean, it's really weird the way that works out. And that's exactly what happened. County was coming in, or the city, about to find them through the... about to find them with big dollars, $1,000 day fines. And I just happened to be there that day and help them get all them cars out of there so they could push all that junk to the back. And then, the city's, as long as you got your front yard clean, the city will not mess with you. They don't care about your backyard. But their whole yard was all jacked up. So anyway, I appreciate you guys. If you like what I do, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I know we got a lot of watchers that aren't subscribed, and so help us out. Hit that subscribe button. It only takes one click. And I just wanted to do a story mode because I see a lot of the heavy hitters are doing these stories, And I enjoy watching them, and I enjoy listening to the stories, because all these cars got a little bit of a story to tell. That's what makes them so fun. But anyway, I'm Brad. Let them rip, not rot. Keep on saving them, and don't give them to the crusher. I'll see you guys on the next one. Later.